All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Boise City Planning and Zoning Commission public hearing. Few things to start out with for tonight's proceedings. Everyone from the public entering the hearing virtually has been automatically muted and cannot speak. As the item you're interested in comes up for discussion, you'll be called upon and unmuted. There is a chat function in Zoom. However, this is not part of the record and should only be used if technical difficulties arise. Our procedures for public hearings begins with a presentation from the planning team. Then we'll go to the applicant and then the representative of the Registered Neighborhood Association, followed by questions from the commission. After that, we proceed to public testimony, starting with those who are in person, then who signed up on the sign-up sheet in advance, and then anyone else who raises their hand virtually. If you're attending through your telephone, you can type in *9 to raise your hand. Each member of the public is allowed up to 3 minutes for testimony, and we are strict with that time as it is limited in code. Finally, the applicant is allowed 5 minutes for rebuttal, after which the hearing will be closed and the commission will deliberate and render a decision. Mr. Chair, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Crystal. Good evening, everybody. We are citizen volunteers appointed by the mayor and approved by the city council. We make final decisions on conditional use permits, variances, and appeals, and recommendations to the city council on subdivisions, rezones, annexations, and code or comprehensive plan amendments. Any decision made tonight may be appealed to the city council, provided that the appeal is filed within 10 days of this hearing. In order to file an appeal, you must have given written or oral testimony at tonight's meetings. That's why it's important to give your name and address when you testify tonight. We utilize a consent agenda. This means that if the applicant agrees with the staff report and if there is no public opposition, the item will be placed on the consent agenda. All items that are placed on the consent agenda will be approved with one motion without further public comment. For items not on the consent agenda, we will hold a full public hearing in the order just detailed a few minutes ago with staff, applicant, neighbors association, and then the public testimony. Thank you all for attending tonight. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Danley.
Here.
Moore. Here. Schaefer.
Here.
Teja.
Here.
Torres.
Here.
Doan.
Here.
Stallings.
Here.
Stefancic.
Here.
All present.
All right, batting 1,000 with attendance. Good start. All right, first up is going to be the work session meeting minutes and then the commission meeting minutes from both March 2nd and March 9th. Hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to read and review. Unless there's any objection, I will place all 4 meeting minutes on the consent agenda. Anything opposed? Anyone oppose? Okay, so moved. All are on the consent agenda. We have an item number 2. Item number 1 is going to be heard for sure. And item number 2, I do have 2 people signed up for item number 2, SUB 25-26. This is the preliminary and final plat on Moore Street. And I just want to confirm that if both of you are here and if you both are intending to testify in opposition to the item. So I have I believe is it Darrett Kerner and is it Gary Madison? I think. Hi. Okay. So are you here to, let's make sure you're here to testify on this item. Okay. You're the applicant. Are you both the applicants? Well, that makes it much easier. I'm going to guess you're not here to oppose your own project. Okay. So thank you for clarifying. So with item number 2, again, this is preliminary and final plat at 3210 West Moore Street. Let me just double check. Hold on a second. Is there anybody in chambers or online who was wanting to testify in opposition to this application? I don't see anybody online. Is there any? Oh, never mind. Hold on.
Mr. Chair, no one is raising their hand.
In chambers? Or did I see? I'm sorry, my head was down. Nobody in chambers, right? Who do you see online? No. Oh, did you say nobody? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said you said there was one online. Okay, so nobody in chambers, nobody online who wishes to testify in opposition. Okay, well, then we'll go ahead unless opposition. Are you all good with the terms and conditions staff report? Great. Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and place item number 2 on the consent agenda. And with that is the consent agenda. So I have a motion to approve.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Moore.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as constructed.
Great. Thank you very much. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Doan. Okay. Any discussion? Okay, with that, we have a motion by Commissioner Moore and a second by Commissioner Doan to approve the commission or the consent agenda consisting of the work session and meeting minutes, both of the 2nd and the 9th of March, as well as item number 2, which is SUB 25-2632, located at 3210 West Moore Street, preliminary and final plat. Okay, there's no discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Danley.
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Schaefer.
Aye.
Seha,
Aye.
Torres,
Aye.
Doan,
Aye.
Stallings,
Aye.
Stefancic,
Aye.
all in favor, motion carries.
Very good. Okay, that takes us to the one and only. You get to go watch the game. Look at that. You're welcome. Tell us how it goes. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and open up to item number 1. This is CVA 26-10 and CUP 2603. This is LKV Architects. This is a modification to a conditional use permit for a major expansion, as well as a variance request, both located at 4750 South Surprise Way. Mr. Dennis, please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. As you just said, the item before you is a conditional use permit for a major expansion of an existing religious institution and an associated expansion of a legal non-conforming parking lot located at 4750 South Surprise Way on 2.8 acres in an A1 open land, very low density zone. A variance request from the vehicle parking location design standards is also included. On your screen is a brief and relevant history of the site, which received approval of the existing religious institution in 2001 and was constructed shortly after. In 2007, an off-site gravel parking lot was approved. Then in 2025, a new driveway approach was approved through a design review application in the northeast corner of the site. Now the applicant seeks to utilize that approved driveway to provide additional access for a newly requested parking lot expansion. So before you today, there are 3 requests. First, to modify the existing CUP for the religious institution for its expansion of more than 20%. Then a conditional use permit to expand a legal non-conforming parking lot as it's the principal use on the neighboring property, which is not an allowed use within the A1 zone as a principal use. Finally, a variance request is included for the parking lot expansion to be surfaced with gravel rather than the typical impermeable surfacing that's typically required. As discussed within the project report, the planning team is supportive of the CUP mod to expand the existing religious institution as it meets the dimensional standards of the development code as well as the applicable findings. The planning team is also supportive of the CUP request to expand the existing legal non-conforming off-site parking lot to accommodate the religious institution's expansion, as the proposed parking lot meets the dimensional standards, applicable finding, and the use category of religious institutions do not contain a maximum parking count. Finally, the planning team is not supportive of the variance request for the expanded parking lot to contain gravel surfacing, as this does not align with the approval criteria for variance requests. Public comments were received prior to the hearing from nearby neighbors as well as the Southeast Neighborhood Association, with a summary of those comments shown on your screen. As discussed within the project report and late correspondence memo, the planning team's recommendations are unchanged for the reasons previously stated, as well as because Surprise Way is designated as a collector roadway, which is anticipated to accommodate multimodal transportation, and the proposal's additional parking beyond that codified requirement is anticipated by the applicant to reduce traffic congestion onto Surprise Way. Therefore, the planning team finds the proposal to meet the applicable approval criteria for the requested conditional use permit. In conclusion, the planning team recommends approval of the conditional use permit modification and the major expansion of the legal nonconformity and denial of the requested variance. And I will stand for any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dennis. Is the applicant present? Okay, if you wouldn't mind, come on up. State your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 20 minutes. Is 10 okay? Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. My name is Brooke Thornton. I'm with LKV Architects. Our office address is 2400 East Riverwalk Drive in Boise, Idaho, 83706. Good evening, commissioners. With me, I have part of my team, which is Carlos DeVitas, which is the pastor of Eastwind, and John Brecken with Brecken Land Design. And I would like to start by letting Carlos begin. So I'll turn the time over to him.
Being brief is not a strength of mine, so I'm going to try to just
Come on,
share what-
Pastor, you got this.
Yes, I would like to.
But I do need your address, and it can't be from above, so I need it to be.
Our journey to here. I've been at Eastwind for 6 years. Oh, you need my address. I thought it was a threat you were
And
giving me.
address. No,
Yeah. 6150,
I'm hurt.
6150 South Settlement Way.
All right, great. Thank
May I
you.
Boise,
also-
Idaho.
May I also ask just to lift the mic up a little bit?
Yeah.
You're a tall guy. Thank you.
Is that better? 6150 South Settlement Way. Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Eastwind has been in its current location at 4750 since 2004, when they established the facility they have now and the space they have now. I'm the third pastor in the community. I've been there since 2020. And in 2007, they came up against some growth challenges, and they started the process of expansion, and it didn't really go anywhere. And they've been a healthy community in Southeast Boise from that time on. Since 2020, we've experienced a lot of growth. And we've tried to navigate that and manage what that looks like. It's primarily, if I look at what our community is comprised of and how we got to this place, in 2022, our leadership determined that we should form a committee to look at locations, available facilities, potentially swapping with the church across the street with different needs we have, even purchasing land at the church across the street. And that committee worked for almost 2 years. They came back in November of 2024, and we determined that the best decision for us as a Southeast Boise church was to stay right there on the land that we owned and do what we could. When I say we're a Southeast Boise church, 78% of our congregation lives within 5 miles of the church. Where our students attend Riverside, Adams, Trailwind, White Pine, Roosevelt, East, LeBois, Timberline. We work with Parks and Rec to maintain Bowler Park that was recently put in across the street, and we pick up garbage on Amity Way. It's where the heartbeat of our church is. In addition to kind of walking out, so then how do we be that community in the limited spaces that we have? We look for an architect who could partner with us that also had a heart for Southeast Boise. And we had brought 3 architects forward, and we decided to work with LKV. Partially, they're located in Southeast Boise, but Brooke and her team presented a compelling vision for a space that could fit in our community, and a space that, even though it's larger, could be an asset to our community. Currently, our space is used by Young Men's Service League, Young Women's Service League, National Charity Association, local HOA boards. We try to make our space available for smaller organizations because there's just not any much meeting space in Southeast Boise. So that led to LKV joining, and we started to map out what the next step could look like for us to be larger, but still have a heartbeat to be Southeast. That's what brought us to here. That's probably all you need to hear from me right now.
John Brecken, Brecken Land Design, 6661 North Glenwood Street. I think there is a site plan available, and I would refer to that just for reference. Yeah. And so I maybe just describe what we're proposing here. The portion of the existing church building will be removed, and then ultimately it'll be a net gain of 14,000 square feet, which is shown in that gray color near the building. And then we're retaining most of the existing parking lot. And then you can see the north portion of the site, which is currently.
Can I pause you real quick? Can you just lift the microphone up a little bit? Just make sure we hear you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Much better.
North portion of the site depicts the proposed parking lot expansion. You can see the approach on the northwest corner there that we want to add to allow better circulation throughout the property. Right now, from what we understand, there's one of the reasons for the expansion is to improve the overall site circulation, which we've met all the city requirements for that, and included better pedestrian circulation throughout the site, as well as vehicular circulation to make it more safe than what it is right now. As is right now, there's only the one access point, which is the larger one on the south end. And so it's a bit of a bottleneck with the existing gravel parking on the north side, and then also the parking that wraps around the building. With the addition of the new approach to the northwest and expanded parking, it will allow and facilitate better vehicular circulation all the way around, as well as allow for emergency vehicle access on that north side. Well, better than what it is right now. That's generally what I have there. There's a canal road on the northeast that is utilized by the public, and intend to allow that continued access through the property. And then there's a couple of outbuildings at the southeast side that has already been approved, which relocates an existing portable building and improves the site with 3 new yurt buildings. I stand for questions on that.
All right. Next slide, please. As John said, the existing church is approximately 11,100 square feet, with a portion of that being demolished about 3,000 square feet. You can see it kind of as the heavy dashed line in the darker blue. That's the portion that will be demolished, which would bring the building total to approximately 25,300 square feet. The scale is consistent with other churches in Southeast Boise neighborhoods, including facilities within Columbia Village, and reflects the need of a long-established and growing congregation. From a site planning perspective, the property is more than adequate, as indicated in the staff report, to accommodate this expansion. The design meets all required setbacks and dimensional standards of the A1 zoning district. Importantly, the height of the building has been carefully controlled. The existing structure is approximately 34 feet 10 inches, and all portions of the new addition are designed to remain at or below that height in order to minimize visual impact to the adjacent properties. Eastwind has been a part of this neighborhood for over 20 years and places a high value on the neighborhood. Our architectural approach reflects that commitment. Materials such as stucco, stone, and wood are intentionally selected to align with the neighborhood character. The design avoids more industrial materials such as pre-engineered metal buildings or exposed concrete CMU in order to try and create a warm neighborhood and compatible appearance. The church and design team have followed all city requirements. Public notifications were completed in accordance with the code, including mailed notices within the 300 feet and on-site posting of the proper location and with an expanded timeframe. In addition, church reached out to nearby HOA groups to invite dialogue and better understand concerns. We have carefully reviewed the staff report and are supportive of the conditions of approval as written, and are also willing to proceed without the variance request, and will comply with paving requirements for the parking areas or make any reasonable modifications that you may want to see. Overall, we feel this proposal represents a thoughtful and measured expansion that remains consistent with the zoning requirements, maintains compatibility with the neighborhood, and allows a long-standing community institution to continue to serve the area. At this time, if you have questions, we appreciate you.
Okay, great. Thank you much. Is that just to make sure that concludes everything you have? Okay, hold tight. We're going to go to the neighborhood association, and then we'll come back for questioning. So Eric, I think I saw you on. Yep. Eric, you got 10 minutes. You good with that?
I am very good with that, and it shouldn't take that long.
Okay. You know the drill. Take it away.
Eric Berg, 1301 South Grant Ave, representing the Southeast Neighborhood Association. My grandfather was a pastor, but the brevity hit my generation, so we won't be here for full 10. All right. Chair, commissioners, there's nothing more important to our community when it comes to transportation than to keep people safe. And whether we have folks traveling by foot, bike, or car, the safety of our community as they travel through the county is vital to our transportation system. That's why Southeast Neighborhood Association voted in March to oppose the consideration and approval of CUP 2603 on Surprise Way until a traffic study and better understanding of the increased use can be made available to the public. The applicant is proposing a large increase of over 14,000 feet of church space and a 5 times increase in parking spaces. From our, sorry, I have a kid with me. Will increase from the best understanding that we have, this expansion will increase the capacity of the applicant's building by 2 to 3 times. This application not only triggers the 20% major expansion that requires Planning and Zoning Commission approval, but is a step change in size and scope. Whether the parcel is large enough to suffice for the expansion or not, the question that has not been answered is whether the infrastructure surrounding the proposal is. Neighbors and other users of the area have expressed concern regarding traffic, especially at service times, creating difficulty turning onto or off of or otherwise utilizing Surprise Way. Local condo owners that sit just to the northwest of the project have noted difficulty getting out of their development during events at the church. This would only be exacerbated due to the expansion. However, there have been no traffic studies, data, or any other guidance to the severity of the effect of the Surprise Way corridor expansion, nor what would be necessary to mitigate it in any such effect. In fact, the only time we can see that there was consideration of this was in 2001 when this was originally looked at, 24 or 25 years ago, rather. Surprise Way is a very unique road in that it has only connections on each end and no other way out of the development besides Amity or US 21. For safety, it's important that there be egress to both ends, and without understanding if this expansion would effectively block the road at various times during the week, it's not an acceptable way to move forward. In addition, Surprise Way is both a collector and a level 3 bikeway, which will only exacerbate the safety concerns for all users. We agree with the staff report that opposes the variance requested and appreciate that the applicant agrees to go forward without the variance if it is not approved. Especially given the expansion and increased use of the parking lot with the proposal, it is imperative that it be properly paved and maintained. Air quality, erosion, and other concerns would only increase at the gravel parking lot with increased use from church expansion. In addition, the variance and conditional use permit should be considered one proposal. The applicant is assuming, and the staff report must then assume, that the additional parking they are asking for is approved. In this case, the variance was not approved and the applicant chose not to properly build out the parking in that area. The assumptions of extra parking from the staff report would be inaccurate. We encourage the commission to reject the variance, and then when the applicant has agreed to properly finish the parking area as it appears they have, to take a look at the whole proposal at that time. Surprise Way is an incredibly unique situation due to the lack of egress and the sole pathway for vehicles, bikes, and pedestrians in and out of the area. It's imperative that the safety of all users, risks, mitigations be understood before properly assessing the proposal and approval. For all these reasons, we encourage you to hold this project till such time as a traffic study can be made or rejected at this time. Thank you, and I stand for any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Berg. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and turn it over to the commission for questions of staff, the applicant, or the neighborhood association. Don't mind me, I'm just gonna crack a cold one. Any questions? Mr. Stefanczyk.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
Beat me. All right. My question, I think is for the applicant and the design. Can you tell me or come back to or can you actually slide back to the one with the path? Yep, this first one right here. So now that there are 2 exits to the church in this design, there are 2 crossings of that path, that greenbelt path, right? Unofficially or officially, the greenbelt path there. What does it look like when service is out on a regular day for traffic in this area? Is everybody making a right or right, left, all over the place? Just get a better sense of that, and I'll have some follow-up questions.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Stanfic. I couldn't say exactly what the split is on the traffic either way. I guess what I could tell you is Surprise Way is a collector road per ACHD. And so it is designed to move traffic. And it connects to Amity, which is an arterial on the north, and US Highway 21, which is a highway on the south. And so, we've, ACHD has reviewed this plan. And they have also approved that approach to the northwest to improve traffic flow. We understand that there is a challenge right now for traffic, and that's the reason we are here tonight. One of the reasons we're here tonight to address that challenge. So to maybe answer your question a little bit better, the plan is to also have signage at those approaches to address safety concerns at the crossing when traffic comes in and out, particularly on Sundays, the largest traffic flow day, as well as having flaggers at those access points to help guide and direct traffic. I believe the church does that right now. Pastor might be able to, on big events, they do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have expressed a plan to continue that effort into the future to help mitigate particularly safety concerns with pedestrians.
Mm-hmm.
There's also been a mobility plan submitted to the city as part of this package that addresses the circulation onto the site and through it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I have a question for staff. Is there any concerns with the sight lines here in the design with the exits? I noticed there's a lot of trees in between the sidewalk in there, and I know as a cyclist and also considering that this will be Sunday, and I know a lot of people are out using the greenbelt on the weekends, that they'll be kind of cruising on the greenbelt. But then as a car's pulling out, it needs to actually sit in the crosswalk to be able to see. Are there any design considerations there?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Stefanczyk, thank you for the question. There is a design element that is included into the driveway access, and that is a clear vision triangle. Basically, at the point of where the curbs intersect 10 feet into the site and 20 feet along the curb line is the clear vision triangle. So that is the requirement to be remain clear, and both of those meet that criteria.
Can you show me where that clear vision? I just see a couple trees like right at these intersections, and at least in this picture, and if that's not accurate.
Commissioner Stefanczyk, as you pointed out, it does look like there are some trees close to that intersection. So maybe the applicant could speak a little bit more to that, although this is not the site plan that was included within the packet. So the site plan that was included within the packet appeared to have met that clear vision triangle. And so it's also important to point out that this driveway approach was actually approved under a separate design review application. And so the review of that driveway approach, the clear vision triangle, was taken into account during that design review application.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Stanley, if I could, I guess a couple things to note on this graphic here. Those radiuses are rather large, and so it might be a little deceiving looking at that, but there is an actual graphic on the landscape plan that depicts that clear vision triangle that he's referring to. I don't know if that's available, but we always put those on our landscape plans just to check for that, because that is a requirement that those clear vision triangles are clear.
Yeah, I would expect. I'm just trying to look at even some of the ones that are submitted here in our report. I see little dots and circles around them, which mean trees.
Yeah.
If I'm reading that correctly, and then I see it again here. And to me, that it just seems like it's completely in the way of being able to see and be able to make a turn. And in those, and even from satellite imagery in the report here too, there's plenty of trees on there, so it's hard to look down as you're making a right or a left.
One thing of note is the tree in the immediate west of the driveway has been tagged for removal for some time, and then Eastwind recently removed that tree.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow up on that just as the logic here. Your stop bar to the intersection on the entry, though, is going to be short of the green belt, correct?
Mr. Chairman, yes.
So has the vision sight triangle been measured from where the stop bar is, or has the vision sight triangle been measured from where the intersection is? Do we have any idea?
Mr. Chairman, I guess one thing to clarify, that bar that you see there is not the stop bar. That's just the property line.
Right. No, I understand that, but like you mentioned, you're going to be putting signage up. We know that the green belt's very active through there. You're going to be stopping vehicles. I know the other exit entrance is that way, right? So my point is that to Commissioner Stefansik's point, rather, with those triangles, just making sure that we've accounted for the geometry difference between the front of what would typically be an exit versus actually where it's going to be stopped prior to the greenbelt section.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, I was pulling up the clear vision triangle. Was that a question towards staff?
It can be, if we want to answer it. Can you speak further, Matt, on where we measured this site triangle from? I know that's often an ACHD responsibility, but given the Greenbelt is the facility owned and operated by the city of Boise, and we have such a strong presence with street trees, it seems like this is actually going to be more in our neck of the woods in terms of making sure of that.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Mr. Chair, members of the commission. The clear vision triangle is defined by the intersection, basically the right triangle of the clear vision triangle is defined by the intersection of the curb lines. And so measuring 10 feet internal to there, 20 feet along the curb line provides that clear vision triangle shape. And so understanding the point there, although that is how the clear vision triangle is defined and measured.
Little sticky wicket there. Okay. Other questions?
Mr. Chairman, on that clear vision triangle, could add a little bit to that. If you look at that graphic, I guess to better understand it, you look at those radiuses. Those are 30-foot radiuses. And so if you extend the face of the curb from each, you're going to have a 30-foot clear vision triangle just by happenstance.
Okay.
Based on those radiuses.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Did you have something?
Yeah, just real quick. It's on the same line of questioning. So John, I noticed on the new approach, the new driveway, we've got crosswalk markings shown. Is there anything at the existing driveway right now, any kind of markings or signage to stop traffic one way or the other, vehicle traffic or traffic on the green belt?
I think
There's nothing.
there's a stop sign coming out of the parking lot.
Okay, that's it. Okay,
That's it. Yes.
thanks.
One thing we have talked about, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Schaefer, is adding signage along the green belt. Along that pathway, similar to is on what is at the Boise City Greenbelt and these sorts of locations. They have stop signs specifically for pedestrian use or addressed to the pedestrians. That makes sense.
You both mentioned earlier the flaggers. Can you just explain how that process usually works? What are flaggers doing here during these when service gets out?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Oh.
On the screen now is the clear vision triangle diagram from earlier. And so it's important to note also at the time that this was reviewed under a design review application, it was associated with the community garden and not necessarily the CUP expansion parking lot. So that is just to contextualize part of that design review application and what was approved with it. So you can see that the intersection of where those curbs would intersect if they kept going is where the measurement starts from, the right angle, 10 feet internal to the site, 20 feet along the curb line. This diagram shows that those trees are outside of the clear vision triangle. And I apologize for interrupting.
Good point. Thank you. Mr. Stefanczyk, I think you were
Yeah, I want to hear about kind of their flagging
flaggers, the
plan.
question
Yeah,
about
if you could
flaggers,
just
yeah.
kind of talk through it, I think for folks in the room here. Yeah.
It's a great question. As we're even in the space we're in, as we've been growing, we're starting to have to look more seriously at our traffic, at pedestrians. It's all volunteer run as far as we are. So if you think flagging done really well is a Boise State game, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about some volunteers in orange vests, like this, out at the crosswalks, stopping cars, making sure pedestrians can come across, and then encouraging the cars to go forward after that. It's pretty, I mean, during the hours of 9 to noon or to 1 when we currently gather, there is pedestrian traffic. And so it's important that we're prepared for that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Stallings.
just to follow up on that with the flaggers, you said that it's weekly or it's only for large events. Can you give us an idea of the cadence of when you?
It's at the iteration stage. We've been growing a lot and we're learning what we have to start to new steps to take to be a better neighborhood, better community partner. So with this expansion, this would be, call it a ministry. That's like a volunteer program that would be really critical to what we do during our operating hours on Sundays. Yeah. But if you came now, it's pretty, Easter was different, but it's a one exit. People figure it out. We have to move beyond that.
Mr. Chair, just to follow up on what everybody's asking about.
Commissioner Torres.
My question's for the applicant. So based on what you just said about the flaggers, what happens if you don't have those volunteers? That'd be my first question. And then the second question is, are they prioritizing the pedestrian traffic at all times, or is it going to be taking turns? How is the interaction going to be managed as far as those crosswalks go? I'll let you answer.
Commissioner Torres. At this point, I think that, like we said, we're kind of in the learning and growing process, but I envision that we will for sure add the stop signs at that location so that at least people are more aware of the driveways. And then potentially, if there isn't volunteers, I guess my suggestion at this time would be that similar to the community center that they have for Surprise Valley, there are the stands that have the flags that you could take back and forth, similar to like a lot of the crosswalks in, smaller resort towns and things like that. That is an option. We are willing to definitely hear suggestions and discuss what that looks like moving forward.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Schaefer.
What is for the applicant team? What's the weekly schedule for you guys?
Currently, we hold 3 services on Sundays. I get this wrong sometimes. I shouldn't, but I'm going to say 9 o'clock, 10:30, and noon is our current schedule. We've had to try to adjust and move times around, but our first 2 services are relatively full. Our third services, generally a third service at an unideal time is about a third of the attendance of an ideal time service. That's what we experience.
Can you repeat those times?
Yeah, 9 o'clock, 10:30, and noon. We have changed times though, so those are not our set in stone times. We've had to adapt and adjust. We look at the church across the street, Eagle Christian. We did some service time changes and now we overlap, but we don't have the same service lengths. So our traffic exiting traffic is not at the same time. So we have a good relationship with them to try to, talk through that and sync that up. And then midweek, we have student programs. Tuesday nights, we have high school program that runs in the evening from about 6 to 8:30. So there'll be cars on campus till about 9. And then Wednesdays, we have 4th grade through 8th grade programs. And those run from 6:30 to 8:30. There are other there's no other evening programs. There's occasional Bible studies. There's some daytime activities we have, but those tend to be no more than 15 people, 20 people.
And to that line of, thank you for that. your Tuesday and Wednesday evening activities, how large of groups are we
They're
experiencing?
pretty vibrant. You'll see about 80 to 100 middle school students, 50 to 60 high school students. The middle school students, it's a pickup drop off environment. So we have a pretty detailed safety plan in the parking lot for that. You have kids and cars and similar to what you might get at school. And then our high school program, largely students drive themselves.
Right. Okay, thanks.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Torres.
another follow-up, also for you. So if you want to stay up. Talking about those after school and evening events, what kind of lighting is there at these exits? Since there is going to be that potential risky intersection between vehicles exiting the parking lot and, pedestrians and cyclists on the green belt.
Yeah. The parking lots is well lit. We just updated the parking lot lighting and had to work through some hooding with the neighbors to make sure the lights were properly placed. And we have a large light right at the entrance that there's a cross there. So it shines on the cross, but it's a high lumen light to give light. We looked at putting also some solar down lights, but it's not our property. And so we moved away. The exit area is not our property. It's Greenbelt and I guess city land. So we haven't acted further on that. But the current area is well lit.
So just to clarify, there's lighting at the entrance, but at the proposed exit, the second exit or entry, I mean, it's an exit. There's not any lighting there currently.
That area is not used right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all in concept. That's all in concept for us. So, yeah.
Other questions?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Moore.
Different topics. So there's a letter from Boise Fire and it mostly just deals with hydrant distances, things like that, I think. Did they have any concerns about limiting access because of the one street or anything like that? The Boise Fire mention any concerns about access?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Moore, thank you for the question. The agency comments received from Boise Fire Department didn't mention any concerns that you just asked about. Basically stated that like you said, the fire hydrant distances. It also alluded to the fact that the site was navigable for their service vehicles.
Okay. So they had no concerns that they've indicated about access to the adjacent neighborhood or anything like that.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Moore, that's correct.
And then a question for, I think, the applicant. So you mentioned that church provides community spaces. Would that increase with this expansion? Would you increase kind of some of the offerings, and would this also be able to be used for community space?
Yeah. Not as part of our strategy, as like a rental space. We don't charge for the use of the space.
Right.
So we continue to see it as an available meeting space for smaller community organizations.
Okay.
The auditorium space, it's currently not in our plans that would be available, but other spaces in the church would.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Moore.
So just to clarify, this wouldn't alter the availability. It would still be available to your small organizations and things like that.
We hope so. Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of the heartbeat of the place. So.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Sehal.
I have a question for staff. So we've heard from the Neighborhood Association about the need for a traffic report. We also read through or received several comments of which traffic was a concern. Can you speak to when a traffic report is required under these conditions?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Sehal, thank you for the question. Typically, the ACHD will be the deciding factor about whether a TIS, traffic impact study, will be required. Agency comments received from ACHD basically just stated standard conditions of approval. And I know typically that the trigger for a TIS study or traffic generation count is over a change of use. So that's likely why that wasn't included in the ACHD agency comments.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Sehal, I'll just add on to that. Also, with square footage is in excess of 10,000, and then large amounts of residential units is usually will trigger it as well.
Chair.
Commissioner Stefanczyk.
Sorry, this just kind of came to my mind in the past comments and questions. So for staff, when does our pathway, we have a pathway master plan here for the city. When does that come into effect in any of this review? And I think I might know the answer, but I want to ask anyways, since obviously there's the Greenbelt pathway here. We don't have any comments from them in this packet.
That's correct. Mr. Chair, Commissioner Stefanczyk, with the site being fully improved with the multi-use pathway, there wasn't, a pathway agency comment wasn't applicable. The site's fully improved.
And is that the only trigger for when the pathway manager needs to comment, or is if new paths are developed?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Stefanczyk, that's typical when there's an easement or a reservation for a pathway that hasn't yet been constructed. That's typically when we will receive the agency comments, or if the pathway is part of the proposal, that would be, the specifications would be included within those comments. So with it being fully improved currently, there was, no trigger for that.
Okay.
For that comment.
So only when it's new, not if it's bisected. So if anyone's cutting across the path, that doesn't trigger pathways to comment.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Stefanczyk, another good point is that the driveway approach was approved through that separate design review application. So that would have been the application that the pathways program would have commented on.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Schaefer.
we dove right in. I think we may need to circle back and just make sure we understand. You guys are striking the variance request from your application. Is that what I understood from your presentation, Brooke?
That is correct. We're more than happy to put that in paving if that is the desire.
Okay, so you worked out, because Idaho Power is the landowner there.
Correct.
You've worked out. There was some
Yes.
commentary about Idaho Power having some
Yeah.
concerns about paving on their property. But you've obviously worked that
Yes,
out. with
correct.
them.
We've worked that with them and discussed those options with them, and they're amiable to letting us pave that.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Sorry. Sure, we've had Idaho Power request lots of paving in front of us
Yeah.
before. I'm gonna follow up on that, though. I know that we as a city, in some of our parks, we've toyed with pervious concrete, pervious asphalt treatments so that it drains and stuff like that. I'm curious, Matt, if you can shed any light on that, and that's a public lot versus a private lot, but I'm just curious, what happened to that thought? Do we have any idea why that might not be an option here?
Excuse me, Commissioner, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the question. That is still an option, although, typically with staff recommendations, we will recommend the most compliant with code. It is still available and at the discretion of the commission if a modified condition of approval to allow a varied type of impermeable surface would be appropriate.
Gosh, if we had a landscape architect up here. All right, other questions?
Mr. Chair, I just thought of one more question.
Commissioner Torres.
At the beginning, you mentioned that this is for the applicant. I'm sorry. You mentioned that I don't remember what number you said, but a majority of your parishioners come from within 5 miles of the church. Do you know what the breakdown is as far as what percentage of them is vehicle traffic versus coming by bicycle, on foot, potentially other means?
The short answer is outside of anecdotal observations, I don't.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Stallings.
follow up to that. Is there any encouragement this is a lot of parking. I mean, I know it's going to be used on those days. It's unfortunate that it doesn't seem like it'll be used very often. Otherwise, is there any encouragement to your congregation to find other means or, to alleviate some of that?
There is, I would say it's not highly effective. Winter is not favorable. We're only really close to the Surprise Valley community and then the Homestead community. And I don't know if it's a HOA, the other one. So most of the folks are going to come from down Amity Road or out up into Boise Avenue. So, but we do encourage, so folks bike when the weather's good, walk through the field, come down from Columbia Village down that very steep path that was put in above Buller Park. But I don't think it's an effective strategy to really alleviate the traffic, especially with our weather.
I've got some questions. Okay, so first and foremost, let's just make sure traffic study is not required by ACHD.
Mr. Chair, that's correct.
Okay. Matt, if you can go to the site, one of the site plans that shows both of the entrance exits points. I'm trying to think show the one that I saw that showed what I caught anyway. This is the one that has the blue lines. It has the teal color lines in the map that's inset. While he's pulling that up, I'm going to ask another question of an applicant. So you have a number of parking stalls now, obviously, and it looks like with what you're looking for, our code requires, I think it was 71, if I recall, parking stalls, but you're requesting to go well over that. So you have a max capacity, at least proposed now, of 223 parking stalls. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, that is correct. Existing parking on the site with what they're using is kind of, you see that kidney shaped piece on Idaho Powerland. There are 155 spots currently.
Okay.
So going to the 223 is, I think, roughly 68 additional parking lot spaces
So
with this addition.
fair to say if our code required 71, but you are calculating you need another 100 and whatever it is, 120 something or whatever it is that fair to say then that you've done the math in your lot and based on what you're proposing and thinking you're going to have in terms of demand, that 220-ish stalls are going to be used 3 times on Sundays?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. So then I want to get back to the sort of the ingress egress, if you will. So service is an hour. Is that right? Okay. So at 10 o'clock, approximately 220 vehicles are going to be leaving that lot, going in the 2 different directions. They can only go 2 different directions. And you have another service that begins at 10:30. What time do people usually start arriving for your 10:30 service roughly? Considering not considering.
I don't want to be facetious, but like 10:31 or so, but
Okay.
our current timing is also due to our size restraints within our facility. We would like to stretch our services further apart. We would anticipate being at 2 services for quite a long time. And again, that third service is generally a third capacity service. And churches in the valley like ours that have to go to a third service.
Is it fair to say that at 10 o'clock when service is over with, that give or take 15, 20 minutes is when the first morning congregation leaves, and then 15 minutes before is when the next congregation starts to arrive?
Yeah, there's probably a little more of a gap, but it's
Okay.
it's pretty small.
Maybe it's 10-minute intervals
Yeah.
out, 10 minutes.
It takes about 10 to 12 minutes for our lot to clear
Okay.
after a service right now.
So you have 440 vehicles that are going out and coming in a matter of about 20 minutes. And that's twice. Is that accurate? Because I know you said you're working on your 12 o'clock. I know you're trying to get your numbers
Yeah.
up there, right?
Yeah.
But your 12 o'clock isn't quite as many, but does
Yeah.
it sound right?
That's with the new parking numbers?
Yes.
Yeah. That's accurate. Right now we have 300 and about 300 cars coming and going in that same time frame out of the one egress.
10 minutes. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
You have that map up. Can you scroll up a little bit to the other northwest? That northwest has a crosswalk striped across it. The other one does not. And I'm wondering why. So if you scroll down, I understand that is an existing one and the other one is new, but if our logic is that one has already been granted, it was granted 20 years ago, and we're putting in a pedestrian crosswalk for the Greenbelt, why would we not require the same of this one.
Mr. Chairman, I agree in that we should have a crosswalk there. I think I missed that
Okay,
because it's an existing access point. So we're not doing any work there. So we didn't show striping there.
okay,
But that's so we haven't quite got that far either. We're in preliminary plans right now as far as
Fair,
that goes.
fair.
So I plan to add crosswalk there as
okay.
well.
Appreciate your honesty and candor there. So Matt,
And-
I'm gonna go. Do you have anything to add?
I do, Mr. Chair. It is totally within the scope of the Planning and Zoning
Right.
Commission to include that as a condition of approval.
Okay, can you then, I'm gonna make you drive again. Can you go back to the triangle one you just had up? Oh, I got tree questions. Don't you worry about it. It's a real efficient system we've got up here.
Mr. Chair can always ask for certain maps to be included in beforehand.
Fine, I'll take that one. Okay. While he's pulling that up, I think you're gonna know where I'm going with this, because on that same site triangle, what I think I saw were truncated domes for ADA. It looked like they were striped across the new one, but again, they're not across the old one. So there it is.
Mr. Chairman, yes, that would be, I don't know if the existing ones have truncated domes or not, but we certainly need to include that. That would be part of the required improvements.
Great. Okay. The tree issue. I read somewhere in here, decent size application. The applicant already mentioned one of these trees is already tagged and is to be taken out.
Mr.
But
Chairman,
I
I
thought I
think,
read that there's a total of 3 trees that are proposed to be eliminated. Maybe one of them is that one. Can you speak to that?
Mr. Chairman, yes, the one tree that has already been removed. And that'd be the one on the right.
Okay. So you're telling me it's 2 trees, one was maybe already tagged for removal, but because of the driveway, the other one is to be removed. Is that accurate? No. Can you clarify me?
Mr. Chairman, the one has been removed,
One has already been
has
removed.
already been removed.
Okay. And not because of anything having to do with the application
Correct.
or
I-
I can speak to that.
okay.
That tree has been a topic of discussion for removal for Surprise Valley, which manages the trees. I think we have their board here, but we agreed to pay the cost of it and remove it.
Okay.
Because it was mutually beneficial for both of what needed to be done and then also was necessary for our driveway.
Okay. So one has already been removed. There's another one that is tagged to be removed. No, I need clarity. I'm sorry.
May I?
Please
May I?
straighten out the monkey.
There are 3 trees in the drawings that are slated to be removed, but they're within the footprint of the building expansion.
In the
So that's in the
not
report.
within the green belt
Correct.
section, it's just within the. Okay,
Correct.
that-
So, but I
Appreciate it.
mean, I think the discussion about visibility
Yeah.
of the driveways is important. I just want to.
Well, I know that Surprise Valley has had a lot of issues
Mhm.
with the trees, and there's a lot of the trees, but it's also an incredibly important element of Surprise Valley. And so trying to be aware of these trees are under the authority of the HOA, right? Because it is within their landscape buffer. And so I believe it's the HOA who has the authority over these trees and probably in agreement with ACHD. We,
Mr. Chair, my understanding is that the trees are located within the right of way. According to our GIS map. I'm not sure of any agreements that could have gone on. As far
Okay.
as I'm aware, the trees are located within the public right of way.
okay, we'll come back to that one.
Mr. Chairman, maybe I can add to that a little bit, but typically the right of way strip or that planter strip.
Yeah.
Oftentimes that's part of a common area. So it may be that that's under HOA review.
I know somewhere in there because I remember about 4 years ago, there was a number of trees that were removed, especially towards the Amity side. And I don't know why, I don't know the reason. Sometimes it just happens, but remember that being kind of an issue.
Mr. Chair, oftentimes although the trees are located within the public right of way, there's an easement for the irrigation system that's often managed by the HOA, so that could be the case here.
Okay, very good.
The trees would still be under community forestry if they're in the right of way.
Okay. My last question with regard to with the traffic issue, you're not required to do a traffic study, but we know that Surprise Way is much more heavily used during summer because of folks getting up to Lucky Peak or going up to Idaho City and that kind of thing. And the Greenbelt traffic increases, quite a bit as well during summer months. So there's some fluctuation that's happening naturally, seasonality. Now we have, the proposal for a couple hundred cars, in a 10-minute period of time. You mentioned the flagger situation and that they're only there now for bigger events. I'm guessing Easter was probably one of them, but they're not trained. It's a volunteer basis, right? Okay. That's just the wheels spinning a little bit. Okay. Any other questions of the commission? Ooh, I know that look. Thinking.
Well, no, Mr. Chair, I think we should be careful with terminology here because I think Greenbelt is a misnomer here, right? This is not part of the Greenbelt system.
It is absolutely part of the Greenbelt
detached pathway.
No, it's part of the Greenbelt.
It's on the formal maps.
Yeah, it connects all the way up.
Okay.
To Amity.
I just want to be careful of that, right? Just
there's a park and ride actually up at the top by Highway 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
My mistake.
That's okay.
Yeah. But I guess to that point too, there's no bike lane in the roadway. Is there a bike lane in the roadway too?
Yeah.
So bike lane in the roadway and a detached pathway.
Yep.
Both.
And Surprise Way was also subject of the crosswalk issue we had with ACHD a few years ago, where they had the textured crosswalks and they removed, I think it was 3 of them.
Okay.
There's also, there's a designated hiking pass on the other side as well. And then there's the park and
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. One last chance.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, Mr. Stone.
Question for the applicant, to the chairman's point, I had the same thought about training on these flaggers, but either way, I really appreciate that solution on these larger events. Would the applicant be willing to agree to have flaggers through these busy summer months? I mean, that the 2 early service times are also right when you'd be using that pathway, especially when the heat warms up in the summer. Is that something you guys would be amenable to?
I think as we've listened to, we had the opportunity to meet with the Surprise Valley HOA board or a few members of it and just listen to the concerns that were coming up. And I think absolutely, I might say amenable, again, it's a volunteer driven run opportunity, and it does require training. And we're kind of moving from cottage industry, just a church in a neighborhood, to realizing that we have to begin to provide better service for safety. And this would be one of those ways. It's pretty, there's a lot of churches that do this and they do it well. So we don't have to invent it. We just have to learn and work on implementing. Yeah.
Just to clarify on that, is that something you'd be open to, but it would just be as, the volunteers are able, or is it something you could commit to weekly for a certain time frame of the season?
I mean, I can speak here. I love the idea and I'd like to see us provide it. It's volunteer run. So if I don't have volunteers, we have to go to the drawing board and figure out what that looks like, how we work it out. But I think it's the right step for us and I'd like to see it happen.
Okay. Any other questions over this way? We're all good over here? Okay, very good. All right, thank you. Stand by. We're going to go ahead and conclude the questions of the commission, and we're going to open this up now to public testimony. But I wonder if we should take a quick 5 before we do that bathroom and settle in. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. So let's take 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll start public testimony. If we can come back and reconvene, we'll get this party started. Okay, so just to refresh a little bit, we've got 3 actual elements to this, and so we have an expansion of a legal non-conforming use with the parking lot. We have the expansion of the actual buildings themselves, and then we have the variance request. So just a little bit of level set there. As we get into this, there's a fair amount of people who've signed up, and if you have not signed up, don't worry about it. We'll be making sure everybody has an opportunity should they want to testify at the end. And then there are also some folks online who may want to testify as well. Here's the couple things that I would ask of everybody is 1, everybody will have 3 minutes, same everybody across the board. I need you to start off with, if you wouldn't mind, please, your name and your address, and then go for it. My one last request is that if you have something that you wanted to say, but you feel like 3 or 4 people ahead of you have already said kind of the same thing, you do not need to testify. Just because your name's on the list, you can say I'm good, you know. So just as a clarity there. I'll also ask the first few names to come up and just occupy these front seats so that we can kind of keep moving. All right. With that, the first few folks I have on the list here are John Drescher, Matt Price, and Sean, I think it's Riley. Hi.
Can I go ahead?
Yep, just name and address and go for it.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, planning commissioners. My name is John Drescher, 2930 South Grebe Place in Boise. I'll keep my comments very brief. I know there's a lot of interest in talking. And so, like I said, I'll try to be brief. Before I start, I just want to mention that in a previous life long ago when I lived in the Seattle area, I served for several years on the Planning Commission. And so I very much appreciate your work. It's not always high profile, but very important. And thank you for your service to our city. It's been my privilege for the past 4 years to be the chair of the board at Eastwind Community Church. And I just want to leave you with one overarching message, and that is we have taken a long time and what we believe is great care in thinking through this renovation project. It has started more than 3 years ago. We had a futures committee set up to explore all the possibilities before us as to how do we deal with our very exciting and growing church. We were running out of room, and it was a long process that we have taken a long time to get to this point. One of our core beliefs as a church is to love our neighbor, and we have done our best to live this out as we have designed this building. We think we've done it in a way that will seamlessly fit into the neighborhood that we all love and that many of us call home. We believe firmly that when this project is completed, our neighbors will be pleased with the result, given the care we have taken in designing and thinking it through. And if I could just add one final comment to the earlier traffic discussion, in the 7 years our family has attended Eastwind, we drive to the church, I have not experienced more than a 90-second delay and only on a couple of occasions at the peak time in waiting to turn into the parking lot. My second hat at Eastwind is one of the chief parking lot volunteers, so I speak with some authority on the subject. We have made many changes to the parking lot itself, such that people can go out going right or left, and it has greatly ameliorated the issues that you're talking about. And I would just add that with the addition of the second egress, I think it will have an even smaller impact on traffic or delays for people in the neighborhood. So I respectfully ask for your support for this project that we have been working on for years, and firmly believe will be an overwhelmingly positive addition to our neighborhood. Thanks again for your time and consideration.
Okay, thank you very much for being here. Okay, Matt Price, Sean Riley, and then Joe Grigsby.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'm Matt Price, 3255 Raindrop Drive, Boise, Idaho. I've been at Eastwind Church for about 20 years, and I first started going and it wasn't very busy, so we didn't have a problem with the growth. But over the 20 years, a lot of people have joined the church, which is a good problem. But you know, it's packed. The services are packed. The parking, we could use a little more parking, and so that gets us to where we are today. When I'm not a volunteer at Eastwind Church, I play civil engineer in real life, and I do subdivisions and stuff. And I look at the drainage, and I look at site triangles and crosswalks and all that too. As I hear about the congestion on the pathway and that, I think you kind of alluded to it, Commissioner Schaefer. The pathway is, it might be labeled as Greenbelt, but it is way less than that. Volume wise. I'm a bike rider and my kids are bike riders, and they grew up going to, we rode a few times. We should have rode more, but we just didn't. I don't know how that happened. So we did drive way too much to the church, but we've never felt in danger crossing there. And I don't think anybody else does at this point. You go down to Amity, and that's not exactly the best place to ride in there. They're doing improvements right now in Amity, and it's going to be wonderful. But even with that, it's just a very low volume road, low volume pathway. As far as the second access, that's good for fire too. The fire department's excited about that. As someone mentioned, Surprise Valley has one exit onto Amity and one onto Highway 21, which you have to have. You have to have two access points. And the fire department gets excited about that, having that for the church. And that was a big thing for them. They got excited about that. So anyway, and to your point about the drainage, it is, we could look at the pavers and some of that. There is low groundwater out there, so we can do the seepage beds. We can do something to accommodate that. The site triangles, that area, it's hard to depict that. Maybe on Google Earth you could see it, but it is not hard to see. Part of it's because it's a curve, and part of it's because the trees all have a diameter of about 6 inches. There's no hills in there. It's you can see pretty well out of those two areas. So anyway, I'll probably talk too long. So thank you guys.
Thanks, sir. Okay, Sean Riley, Joe Grigsby, and then Emily DeVitis.
My name's Sean Riley. I live at 5763 Plantation Way in Boise. Got 3 quick points, but first, thank you for your service. Thank you for what you're doing here. As I just said, I live in Plantation Way with the River Club. The thoughtfulness you've had about growth has been excellent in very difficult times. This is an adaptation. It is not expansion of something new. Eastwind is responding to the growth that has already happened. The CUP and the CVA that you see before us does not change the church's use or the footprint. It allows for the campus to be responsible in serving the reality of the neighborhood. And you heard it's about 75% of the immediate neighborhood. The community grew around Eastwood, and the request recognizes that reality. Number 2, Eastwood is a local neighborhood-based church choosing the least impact option. As you've heard, they looked at other things. They want to staying put to keep families connected locally. And when I say locally, in the Southeast, and walkable communities. The expansion is a modest and primary support. The children and the youth programs already served in the neighborhood, which is much needed in this area, which is about 95% full. You guys probably know the stats on that better than I do. And there you've heard they've exhausted alternatives of moving anywhere. This keeps activity local instead of displacing it around the city. I think that's really big and important point here. My last point here is that its smart planning supports families and stabilizes the neighborhood. Community institutions need room to serve the people already here. Growth brings families. Families need services to close to home. Churches function like any other civic anchors. They support youth, reduce isolation, and strengthen neighborhood ties. Denying the CUP or CVA doesn't reduce demand. It pushes it out to other places. Approving it supports orderly growth within an existing footprint. Thank you for listening to me. Its growth is inevitable, as we all know. Planning for it well, for the best outcome, like you've done before, is the same here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Joe Grigsby, Emily DeVitis, I think, and then Deborah I think it's Fadden.
Mr. Chairman, Planning Commissioners, thank you for your time. Good evening. My name is Joe Grigsby, 2317 East Danzy Drive, Boise, Idaho. I moved to Boise about a year and a half ago, and a few months into that, I came into discovered Eastwind Community Church. Before that was the first time I really felt truly connected to this community whatsoever. My family followed a few months later, and they've expressed the same connection point. Over the past year, I've been involved on the worship team in both the main service and youth events and retreats, etc. So being involved at that level, I'm able to see, gives me a clear picture of how active the church already is, not just on Sundays, but throughout the whole week for the families, youth, and those in need. I'm here to support the proposed expansion because Eastwind is already operating at capacity. The way I see it, this plan really isn't a way to get bigger, but to responsibly support the growth that they're already having, both in the building and throughout the community. I appreciate the considerations and the seriousness that they take, like traffic and noise, and being a good neighbor there, that they're being thoughtfully addressed, because that attention reflects the understanding that growth actually comes with responsibilities, and that what truly matters is being a good neighbor in this regard. So I thank you for your time and for the care that you put into serving the city of Boise.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, Emily, followed by Deborah McFadden, I think it is, and then Brett Robbins.
Hi there, Emily DeVitis, 6150 South Settlement Way. So I live in Surprise Valley. I'm also married to the pastor. So this is both of our neighborhood. These are also our neighbors, some for, some against. And it's a tough spot to be. I don't really want to be up there speaking because it's kind of an odd spot to be in. But I just want to speak to the fact that we love our neighborhood. We care deeply about the youth in our neighborhood, both their well-being and being part of a vibrant church and community, but also having the opportunity to be safe when they come. And so we take that really seriously. I think that we really acknowledge there's a lot of growth areas to how can we do a better job as people across the Greenbelt? How can we flag better? What I can say as a volunteer on Tuesday nights when we've got, 75 junior hires arriving and all those 4th and 5th graders, we have an army of adults outside greeting those kids at the door, directing traffic. That's all within the parking lot. That's an evening thing. It's not when the Greenbelt is being used as much, but it's something we take really seriously. And so I know it's tricky to commit in a moment, like what if we don't get volunteers? I can say it's the culture of our church to really care about our community. So I'll send the sign up sheet around this room. But I know I think we're trying to walk both sides of that line going, we can't promise something. At the same time, it's the heartbeat and culture of our church to be taking care of our youth and their safety. So thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Okay. Deborah, then Brett Robinson, and then Alexis Klemple. Hi.
Hello, Deborah McFadden, 3075 East Starview Drive in Boise, 83712. Just to pair it off of what's been said, Eastwind is a church that I've attended with my family for 6 years, but I've had Eastwind touch the different areas that I serve in the community. So as a PTO president at Adams Elementary and a board member for the Warm Springs Care Farm, as well as a leader of a mom group, Mothers of Preschoolers, Eastwind has not only supported all of these things, but created opportunities for others to support. And once a year, we do a project where we go out into the city And we partner with the city to put mulch down in the parks or to repaint the fences at the cemetery. We really try to be good neighbors. It's the culture that's been set by our pastor. It's something that we take seriously, and it's not just what the pastor says, it's what the congregation does. So we'll very much take it seriously on the board as well. So we will find people to fill those positions that are in need. And I truly believe it's a place that people will enjoy serving.
Thank you very much. Okay. Brett Robinson, Alexis Klempel, and then I believe Jack Lanham.
Good evening, and thank you for your service. My name is Brett Robinson, and I live at 5963 South Schooner Place in Surprise Valley. And I have the unique position of living in Surprise Valley, attending Eastwind Community Church, having been on the board at the church for about 4 years. I just came off about 6 months ago. And then having the dubious make that distinct honor of leading our Futures Committee for 2 years. And during that time, like has been said, we looked at a multitude of options that, trying to be caring and conscientious of our neighborhood and of all the neighbors. And we looked at buying a piece of land elsewhere and moving, and the overwhelming conclusion was to stay where we are and do something that's sensible to grow where we are. I think it's important to point out, like the southeast side of town, from sports arenas and basketball courts, etc., to other services is under serviced compared to other parts of the city. And we've got Micron obviously expanding, which is creating even more growth on our side of town. So I think having a church and other services that provide meaningful opportunities for connection is really important. So with all that, I think the Eastwind expansion would be a huge win for Boise with massive upside. I think it's also critical to point out, when you look at statistics around the country, regular church attendance is in decline, and we are growing at double-digit clips on an annualized basis. And that is in large part because of our 5 pillars, which are available to anyone that would ever want to come to our church. And those pillars are Sunday experience, which is a lot of what we're talking about, our life groups, our youth, and our youth programming, which, we're serving hundreds of kids on a weekly basis, and then service both inside and outside of our church. So it's critical to think, when you think about our church and what we're doing, it's just not this parcel of land that we're discussing, but it's the great things that we do throughout the city. I think that's important to kind of bake that into the thought process. And ultimately, through those pillars, we are promoting cross-generational opportunities. I'm in a group that there's 2 young guys in their 20s and myself and someone that's in their 60s. And the cross-pollination of ideas and support and letting light in, the opportunity to exponentially grow that. I think the risks that we're talking about are reasonable to consider, and we should do whatever we need to do to make adjustments. But the reward for not only those that call Eastwind their home church today, but hopefully the many more that will come, is pretty overwhelming. And I did want to make a point, living in Surprise Valley, there are no crosswalks on any streets or the farmhouse with any of the streets parallel a Surprise Way. The crosswalks are perpendicular to, but not parallel. So I just wanted to add that point, and thank you for listening. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay. Alexis Klempel, Jack Lanham, and then Dominic Davidis.
Chairman, Commissioners. Alexis Klempel, 5950 South Tulip Place. I play a municipal lawyer as my day job, so I apologize if I get kind of in the weeds. I'm here in support of the conditional use permit applications for Eastwind Community Church. As the commission knows, City Code requires approval of this request if criteria are met. I urge you to rely on your subject matter experts, those being your planning and zoning staff, in weighing the evidence before you tonight. Given the information in the staff report, there is no substantial evidence by which the commission could find that the criteria for approval are not met. The only criteria that is arguably touched on by the comments in opposition to this application, at least those that have come in ahead of time, is the potential negative impacts under City Code 11-05-05 3C sub 3 sub 8 sub 2. But denial on this basis would have to be based on substantial evidence of a material negative impact. The fact is, Surprise Way is a through street. It doesn't just serve the residents in Surprise Valley. For example, I live in Columbia Village up the hill. I frequently drive down Surprise Way to get to other parts of Southeast Boise. It's a through street. To get to areas of town, lots of people use it regardless of whether they're going to a church on Surprise Way or not. Approving this application would not materially affect the use of this roadway. As noted in the staff report, Eastwind offers community benefiting programs. I've personally volunteered with Eastwind to help beautify Boise through work with the Boise Parks and Recs Department, cleaning up parks, and with Boise Public Schools. Approval of these CUPs will allow more people to participate not only in Sunday services, but also in these volunteer opportunities that benefit the Boise community at large. Even if a material negative impact were created by approval, the public benefits of approving these CUPs outweighs any negative impacts. Therefore, I respectfully request that the commission approve these CUPs as they meet the criteria laid out in city code. Thank you.
Thanks. We would never have guessed you're an attorney.
Blazer didn't give it away.
All right, Jack Lanham and then Dominic Davidis.
Jack Lanham. I live on 1605 West Residue Street. Thank you so much for what you guys do. I'm so grateful to be here. We're so grateful for the opportunity to share just about how passionate we are about what we do. We're about a few things. We want to inspire each other to follow Jesus, and that may not be everyone's cup of tea, but so that we can love our neighbor and reach the next generation. I have the privilege of doing a couple things at the church. One of those things is I work with media and Sunday mornings, and then also with students. I volunteer as a small group leader with our high school and junior high students. And the impact that we are having with students is something that I can't be as technical as my favorite piano player, Alex, who just went before me, but it is profound. I've sat with kids who are just struggling at home, who are finally opening up to us or saying, oh yeah, sorry, I didn't take my ADHD medication this morning because it makes me puke, but I told my mom I did. I'm meeting with high school kids who told me that when he was 13, he was about to jump a kid and kill him. And he didn't, because he had people around him who were pouring into him, because he came to Eastwind Community Church. And now I hang out with this kid and he's taking pictures at church on Sunday mornings and is at every 3 services. And yeah, I pick him up at 5 in the morning because that's the time we get to church at 6. But that's what we do. And so I can't not say, because we've talked a lot about traffic and other things, I can't miss the forest for the trees here, literally. And we are serving young people and hopefully creating a space for them to thrive in their community. So thank you guys so much for what you do.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Dominic Davidis. I see a Davidis trend. Any other in the clan?
I'm going to help you out in case it comes again. Davidis.
Davidis.
Yeah. Yeah.
My fault.
No worries. Dominic Davidis. My address is 7474 West Althea Court. And I have a small anecdote that kind of represents, I think, captures how we want to work with our neighbors. I'm the junior high director at the church. You guys have heard this a couple times already, but we have about 80 junior high students on any given Wednesday. And when it comes winter time, the parking lot gets really dark. It's where we really rely on those lights, and parents get a little more reckless in their driving as well. You may have also noticed helmets get less popular every single year. So this last winter, we noticed our parking lot at Pickup for junior high wasn't as safe of a space as we wanted it to be. So in February, we started talking to ESI about what new lights could look like in that parking lot. And we got started on that project. And as we put them up, there's this option, there's this color spectrum between white lights all the way to yellow lights. And when given the option, we went with yellow because we want this church to fit into the neighborhood, to feel like it's part of the neighborhood. And then we pretty quickly received a message from one of our neighbors. There's an apartment complex right next door that is mostly covered by trees, but there's a few spots where there's a gap in the trees and people's windows peer right into our parking lot. And this person mentioned that with the new lights, as bright as they were, as awesome as they were for the junior high, they didn't really care because every night they were keeping them up while they were trying to sleep. So what we did is we said, thank you for the input. And we put hoods on our lights. So this no longer shines into this neighbor's spot. This was just one neighbor who had a problem with the lights we were putting in. but we really care about our neighbors. So we did something about it to be a church for our neighborhood. If I read you the text, the thank you text, I would run out of time. So I'm just going to skip it. But I just wanted to share that anecdote because it captures where our heart is and how we want to treat our neighbors and be part of the neighborhood. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming out. Okay, I think it's Paul Traficante, Leif Brandt, and then Daniel Benfield.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you. I'll be very brief. I just have a comment on the traffic question. I've been a member of the church for 2 years. I live at 44 Morse Creek Rim Road, Boise, Idaho. My father was a resident at the Terraces of Boise until he passed this December. So by reason of that, I have had the opportunity to experience traffic turning to the left and turning to the right as one exits the church. And I have to say that I cannot think of a time where I waited for more than 2 cars or 3 cars in front of me to make a turn either way. And I think that the estimates that were given earlier on how long it takes people to filter into the church, and I go to the 9 o'clock regularly, and it takes a little bit longer than what I've heard folks say. And I know that because my dad was in a wheelchair, so I would time coming in early when I was taking him so that we wouldn't be a clog in the works. So I observed people coming in from anywhere from, and there were always people there before me, from anywhere from 20 minutes before 9 a.m. to having people come in and filter next to me in the aisles up to 5 or 6 minutes after the service starts. So I think there's quite a longer window than folks are thinking of, and that's probably because they're busy doing other things at the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, Leif Brandt, and then Daniel Benfield, and then Jim Reed.
Leif Brandt, 3477 South Capulet Way. I am on staff. I've been on staff for about 6 years, and just kind of want to touch a little bit on what Dominic mentioned, but one of our core values on our staff team is better is better, meaning that anytime that we are alerted or we see something that could be made better, whether it's internally or it's for our neighbors or for the community, we want to do what we can to make those things improved and get better. And I'm probably the main staff person that goes around and is like, oh, we need to fix this. We need to fix that. Parking lot's dark. Traffic pattern stinks. And so kind of just wanted to speak to Commissioner Stallings, just your question about the parking and the flaggers and having that, like, just want you to know that it's on our minds. It's on my mind all the time, probably too much, but we're thinking about those kind of things. And we want to be good neighbors. We want to be safe and provide safety for our community. And so that is on our heartbeat. That is in our minds. And so you have our commitment to that. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Daniel Benfield, Jim Reed, and then Gary Wiggins.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commission. My name is Daniel Benfield. I live at 6176 South Schooner Place, right there in Surprise Valley. I'm here to express my strong support for the East Wind Church expansion. This church is more than just a place of worship. It actively serves our community. They support the families in need. They host community events, as we've heard throughout the testimony here. They provide a space where people can connect and find help. Their programs reach far beyond just their congregation. As our neighborhood continues to grow, the community needs their services more than ever. I'm a career military member who's motivated by a life of service. And because of that, I can recognize a genuine service mindset when I see it. And that's exactly what East Wind brings every day. They bring true service to their community, and they are committed to strengthening our families, supporting our neighbors, being a good neighbor, and just making our neighborhood a better place overall. East Wind has been incredibly thoughtful and responsible as a neighbor. And I take this dearly as I love our community in Surprise Valley. And this expansion will allow them to continue to serve the neighborhood and community safely and effectively. And Carlos, just to put on the record, I'll volunteer to be a flagger for you. Thanks, Commission.
You better listen to him too.
We're going to hold you to that.
All right, Jim Reed and Gary Wiggins.
So Jim Reed, 6026 East Penn's Edge. And I've been a member of East Wind for 2 years. I met my wife 2.5 years ago. And after we were together for a while, we decided to go to church together. And she had gone to East Wind before COVID. So we tried East Wind. And it's the first experience I've had in my life. I went to church as a child. I grew up in a Catholic family. I had learning disabilities, and I didn't know anything about the Bible after going to church and all the way through confirmation. So going to East Wind was the first experience. I kind of my religious experience was praying for 40 years by myself internally, not experiencing a Christian family. And if you want to see a Christian family in action, go watch the exchange between the 9 o'clock service and the 10:30 service. When people come in the middle, they don't just roll out and run off to their cars and try to race home. It's just a community engaged, and it's fun. It's something you look forward to coming and going. And so I think if you just saw that, you as a community member, you would be pleased to have that as part of your community. And so with that, I compliment Carlos for turning me into a Christian.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Gary Wiggins.
Thank you. My name is Gary Wiggins. I live at 5329 South Farmhouse Place in Surprise Valley. I currently serve as the vice president of the Homeowners Association, and I have for 24 years. I'm also a retired Boise police officer. I worked 27 years for the city of Boise, and 15 of that was patrolling Southeast Boise, specifically the area that the church is located in and my house. So there's no denying that a church is a good thing. We all know that. I'm not going to try and debate that they do good or they don't do good. I think the question is whether this is the right size project for the area. You've heard them say they're going to triple the size of the church, which is going to do a lot to traffic. At one point in time, Commissioner Danley was asking about the amount of cars. No one's really taken into consideration that Eagle Community Church also has 2 services, and their parking lot is 180 plus vehicles. So backing up a little bit, Commissioner Stefanik asked about the traffic going both ways. Yes, it does currently, and there are no controls, there are no signage, there are no stop bars controlling the traffic. There have never been any, and there have never been any signage whatsoever. And remember, if it's not placed by the city or a CHD, it's not even viable. It's not even heatable. If they want to drive through it, they can, and nobody could even cite them. So it would need to be placed by the city or by the county and not by the church. There were some other questions asked about sight lines on the intersections coming around. Traffic goes from 30 to 35 miles an hour right at the entrance to the church. Both driveways from Eagle Community Church and East Wind come out within 150 feet of each other. And that's where the traffic increases from 30 to 35 miles an hour. And it is a blind corner. There are a lot of trees there. Most of those trees have been in the ground for 29 years. The tree they removed was an 18-inch caliper tree. So that's about the size that most of the trees are in the neighborhood. The large groups, they do a lot of youth stuff in the evenings. We've had a lot of complaints from our residents in the condominium complex, which is part of our HOA, about the noise. They're actually moving some of their structures to the east side of the church, which is then going to put more of the church closer to those condominiums. And I don't even think that's addressed in the plan because they're existing structures. And I think the only other thing that I was really concerned about was just the overall size and the fact that the land that they have leased for the parking lot belongs to Idaho Power. If at any time Idaho Power takes that land back for whatever reason they need it, then the church is limited back to its original parking. And now they've tripled the size of the church. And where are those people going to be if that comes to fruition? So other than that, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for coming out. Appreciate it. Okay, that concludes the sign-up sheet, but that does not mean that anybody who's in the audience who wishes to testify can't do so now. So if you are in the audience and have not already signed up to testify or have come up, I should say, then please come forward and just occupy these front, and we'll just do the same thing one at a time and state your name and address for the record. And we'll take it from there. And then we have some folks online who we'll get to momentarily as well.
Do you want us just to step up?
Yep.
My name is Brittany Slaughter, and I live at 6111 South Settlement Way, and I'm here to speak in opposition to the expansion at East Wind Church. And just to clarify, that's in Surprise Valley. I live in Surprise Valley. There has been mentioned there are 595 homes in Surprise Valley, Homestead Rim, and Daybreak subdivisions, for which the only access is Surprise Way. The proposed expansion of East Wind Church will affect every homeowner in that 2-mile stretch from Highway 21 to Amity. Current zoning is consistent with how the land has been used up to this point, which is a church with a moderate congregation size and a neighboring community garden. According to code, rezoning the property requires safe, convenient, and comfortable interactions between motor vehicles, cyclists, and pedestrians, and enhance pedestrian safety. These things are a concern in this area even now without the expansion. The proposed driveway is on a sweeping curve with limited visibility. And in the written comments that were submitted, there were multiple comments citing close calls between pedestrians and cyclists at the intersection of the church parking lot as it exists today. Adding more parking, more cars, and another greenbelt crossing will decrease pedestrian and cyclist safety in the area. The code requires that it be uniquely suited to accommodate this expansion, be uniquely suited to accommodate the proposed use, and that the use will not create material negative impacts in the surrounding areas. This project will result in a large commercial building on a residential street, which is the only access for nearly 600 homes, and convert a community garden to parking. A community garden with nearly 100 growing plots that benefited our entire neighborhood. The loss of the garden alone is a material negative impact to our community. Additionally, the church lied on their permit request for approval of the added driveway, and there was no public comment for the new approach. The approval also requires that the site is large enough to accommodate the proposed use, open spaces, pathways, parking, and that it minimizes conflicts between pedestrians, bicycles, and vehicle traffic. This project will make our neighborhood less safe to pedestrians and cyclists. It does not minimize conflicts, it will double or triple them. The city's comprehensive plan states a commitment that growth will be planned to protect the quality of life valued by the city's residents and preserve and enhance natural resources. This includes opportunities for small-scale urban agriculture and residential food production, and providing opportunities for community gardens and small-scale farms, like the one that was removed for the addition of the parking lot on the Idaho Power property. Although neighborhoods are required to evolve over time, protective measures that may be necessary to ensure each neighborhood's distinguishing characteristics are retained. This is what's in the comprehensive plan. The plan requires public facilities to be consistent with community design principles and policies, and minimize conflicts with pedestrians. I implore you to act in accordance with the city's code
Thank you,
and the
ma'am. I need
comprehensive
to-
plan and deny the
Appreciate
request.
it. Yep. Thank you for coming out. Appreciate it. Okay. Come on up. And anybody else who has not spoken who wishes to, please come forward now. There you go. Perfect.
My name is Patricia Comstock, and I'm at 6092 East Gateway Court in Surprise Valley. And we've lived there for 26 years, and I'm opposed to the conditional use permit for the expansion of East Wind Community Church. I am not against churches. I've gone to churches my entire life. Many of the wonderful things that the church members said that they do not have to occur at that property. They're not unique to that property. They can happen at any property. I think the church size and the impact were appropriate for the size and location. And all the experiences that were shared tonight have to do with the size of the church today. We are not talking about the 3 times bigger size. So I don't deny any of those experiences. We've talked about the unique properties of Surprise Way itself. Not only is it 2 miles long with 1 entrance at each end, but there's a bluff and a fire danger on one side and a rim and a fire danger on the other side. So there's fire danger on all sides of Surprise Valley, and the only way out is east or west. And in the time I've lived there, both entrances have been blocked by fires. 2 years ago, there was a fire on Highway 21. That entrance was blocked off. So we all, if we had to exit, would have exited out towards Amity. If that was on a Sunday morning, and everybody had to exit Surprise Way, I don't think we would get out safely. The church has talked about being a good neighbor. I've not been talked to. None of us have been asked. They did have a meeting with the association, but the association did not survey us to ask about our opinion about the expansion. So I think that would be something that I would really like to see happen. Also, we've been observing on Sunday mornings, because there is no traffic study, what's been occurring. 95% of the cars turn towards Amity. The second exit out of the church isn't going to alleviate the traffic, because both exits, most people will be going towards Amity. The people exiting Eagle Christian turn left towards Amity. And we've been looking at the service times at both churches, and many times they are at concurrent. So they are exiting at the same time. I'm also concerned about flaggers, because the flaggers are going to prefer the church. They're going to be helping people exit the church, blocking traffic going out of Surprise Valley. So those are concerns I have. I don't think this is the place for a church that's going to potentially have up to 2,000 people on a Sunday morning. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. Okay. Anybody else? Now's the time to occupy one of these chairs. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Commissioner or Mr. Chairman and Commission. Thank you. My name is Jennifer Navis. I live at 6183 South Schooner Place in Surprise Valley. First, I'd like to say this is really hard because these people have been my neighbors for decades. I have lived on the Amity corridor since 2005. I lived in Trailside Place before moving to Surprise Valley in 2016. I don't think anyone disputes that Eastwind loves our community and is doing their best. This facility was not created to grow at the rate that that congregation is growing. I would like to point out, I'm not sure who mentioned it, but someone suggested that, I think it was the architect, maybe Ms. Thornton, Columbia Village. I cannot find on the tax records that Columbia Village contains a church building larger than what Eastwind is projecting. That is a community of 1,800 residents. They have 2 church buildings. Surprise Valley has 418 residents and has 2 church buildings already. In my years using Surprise Way recreationally before I moved into the community, I have never seen flaggers on Surprise Way. When I do see flaggers, they are inside the parking lot directing people to individual stalls. And that is problematic because the issue is actually the green belt, which is clearly marked and identified on the pylons at all of the crossings as Parks and Rec City of Boise property. As Mr. Wiggins said, the speed limit does go from 30 to 35 there. I am not sure if you have driven down Surprise Way. It is lovely. I work in real estate. I love the developments that the O'Neills put together. That road is not meant for winter driving with the amount of vegetation and the closeness of the homes in some areas. It is an ice skating rink. And with the projected new building encroaching upon Surprise Way, I'm not sure if you can tell from the diagram, the gray portion of the building that they are proposing will go 1 parking space. It'll go Surprise Way, the walking path, their little strip of grass, 1 parking row, and then the new building. There will not be enough sunshine to shine light to melt ice. People already slide off of the road there in the wintertime. It's treacherous, and it wasn't meant for the uses that we have today, and it's certainly not meant for the uses that the church is proposing. I have no doubt that these people mean the best. And I'm happy that they have such a wonderful community. The facility cannot grow and be in easy coexistence with our community as it stands and maintain the characteristics of Surprise Valley that have drawn so many of us to East Boise. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yep, go ahead, just the mic.
Yeah, sorry, I'm 5'2" on a good day. Jasmine Jenkins, 501 East Park Center Boulevard. Do you mean apartment number 2, or are you good with
No, that's okay.
that? Okay, good. My wife and I are born and raised Idahoans. Been here for a long, long time, about 4 generations back. My parents were missionaries on an island called Penang, Malaysia for about 8 years. So Idaho is home for us. Always has been, always will be. We want our kids to be here, our grandkids to be here. We've been going to Eastwind for about 2.5 years now. We started initially at Eagle Christian, and the location that these very kind people are talking about was actually a location that we attended multiple services at before we drove past and saw Eastwind. In my personal opinion, the numbers that are coming out of ECC are minimal. Their largest campus is actually off of State Street in Chinden. That's their main campus that they have 3 services at. That's the largest. The location off Surprise Way isn't their most popular location. So their services are smaller. And so the people that they're outputting is a smaller foot traffic than the other locations. These nice people have lots of concerns that me and my wife have also had. And so it's a great conversation for you guys to consider. The thing I'll leave you with, though, is Idaho is growing without a doubt. I think we all are experiencing that. Growth in Idaho is inevitable. It's called the Gem State for a reason. So with this growth, we need to, as a church community, do something. And I think we're open to suggestion for that. And we want to grow responsibly to ensure that our community is safe, our neighbors are safe, and that everyone is seen and heard accordingly. And so this project that's proposed would allow us to grow at a safe and reasonable rate to make sure that everyone's happy involved and that we're taking care of the things that we need to take care of. So I appreciate your time and your consideration. And thanks so much for having us tonight.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to go to, there's somebody that's, well, there, of course, their hand was raised for a long time. Yeah, we are. And then I'll come back to the chamber. So I'm going to hit, this is, I think it's Nate Meyer. And then I also have Keith Tuttle.
Yeah, I'll try to, this is Nate Meyer. I live on 5255 South Farmhouse Place. Been a resident here, or owned a house for about 12 years. And lived in the neighborhood probably 5 years before that as well. So I think that the key points I've been listening in and kind of hearing both sides. The biggest challenge I see is, is this a community church or is this going to be a super church? I hear all sorts of stuff about the growth. But then, a community church right now, the way it is, it has a community garden. This community garden has been important to my wife, who's actually a Catholic teacher. They have volunteered at this garden numerous times. Students from Sacred Heart and I believe Bishop Kelly High School have volunteered here. Now we're taking this community garden and replacing it with a parking lot, which is not the most attractive thing, kind of aligning with the prior comments on the entry to a subdivision. Next, the space that they have the garden right now is actually a nature pathway. I don't know if any studies have been done regarding where the deer are going to move to, as far as the path to the kind of the Oregon Trail common area there. I see herds of deer moving through there nightly. It's actually a concern from a traffic perspective because of the speeds through that area, but I don't know where that's going to push the deer. I don't know if anyone studied that or looked at it. The flagger comments, I'm sorry, but I every time I hear the volunteer aspect, I have never seen a flagger out there. I have myself personally had several issues with individuals leaving the parking in the current situation. Primarily because and I haven't seen any photos of this shared by the church or anyone here, but that intersection is terrible. There's bushes, there's shrubbery. That triangle that is mentioned, I don't think it's been studied well. So I think some work needs to be done there before that easement and egress is declared as good enough. Next, let's see what else. Service times. I would second the point that the service times are up to the pastors, and they say they're going to agree on times, but let's be honest, I don't think that's a natural case. Another thing I'd like to point out is the other church has over 180 parking spaces, as mentioned. They have one exit. They are able to make that do. Currently, there's 155 spots at this one parking spot, a lot of which were added as gravel spots, which were initially to service the I believe the garden. So kind of illegally added, but
Thanks, sir. I'm going to need to pause you there. We've got 3 minutes up. So, but thank you for hanging out and appreciate your testimony. Okay, I'm going to have to move forward, and I'm going to go with Keith Tuttle, followed by Jenny Henley.
Good evening. My name is Keith Tuttle. I live at 5122 South Surprise Way, the building directly adjacent to this parking lot. First and foremost, I am a Catholic. I am very active in my church. I just wanted to mention a few things that I've experienced in the year I've lived here. There have been more than several times, I should say, where leaving, trying to get to my own church services, I have to go north on Surprise Way to Amity Road. And I've had to wait upwards of 5 to 10 minutes to be able to turn onto Amity Road due to the severe traffic following church services. Secondly, I live directly next door, and I have not been contacted by anyone from Eastman Community Church. I have not been involved in any of that. And I frankly just frustrated that I have not been consulted or even informed about this, being a direct neighbor. And noise has on several occasions been an issue, including this past weekend where I'm trying to enjoy my Saturday and noise coming from the church is directly impacting my ability to spend time in my home, not outside. Inside, I can hear music and noise from the neighboring church. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Jenny Henley, and then I think that's all that are online, at least as of now.
Hi, my name is Jenny Henley, and I live at 5122 South Surprise Way. I'm in the Overlook condos. It sounds like I'm in the same building as Keith. And I am in opposition of this project for all the reasons that everyone else has spoken about, so I won't repeat any of them. But I also, I go to bed with the street lights in my bedroom window, and I wake up with them in my window. And the level of activity and traffic is definitely impactful. And I guess, like I said, I don't want to repeat anything, but should this be approved, I would like to have it on record to request the buildings that are moving to the east, closer to the condos, the huts and the side building. I would like to request that if this goes through, those be moved to the other side where the parking is planned, so that you're not increasing activity right at the condos where you're going to increase the level of noise. And in addition, should this go through, if you could plant a living wall between the condos and the church to give the condos a little bit more privacy from the level of activity. But again, I am in opposition, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, with that, I don't have anybody else who's in chamber who wants to testify, and I don't show anybody else online who's doing the same. So last chance. All right, well, with that, then we'll go ahead and close the public testimony portion of things, and we'll open it back up to the applicant for 5 minutes of rebuttal. So.
John Breckenbreck, Land Design, 6661 North Glenwood Street. would address some of the concerns. I guess start with some of the basic stuff that was mentioned, maybe just for some clarity. The addition that we're proposing here is only 14,000 square feet, which should make the overall structure 70,000 square feet. So it's not, we're not tripling the size of the building or anything like, we're not tripling the size of the building or anything like that. So we're only doing a 14,000 square foot addition. And so just a point of clarity there. Also, the approach at the northwest has already been approved for construction, as well as the relocation of the structures to the southeast. Those approvals are already in place. There's also some concerns about not being invited to the neighborhood meeting. We did have a neighborhood meeting. We invited everybody that was on the list that was provided by the city, just for clarification. And we had good interaction with the folks that were there. There's some concerns about the traffic on Surprise Way, and it is a curvy road. One of the reasons that the one location to the northwest is located there is because it is on a curve, but the access to it allows, or as you exit out of it, allows you to look both ways down that curve. That was discussed during the approval process with ACHD. There are not any bushes at either of those intersections. At those approaches, it's only the trees on the sides that would potentially be of concern, as was previously discussed. Yeah, I think that's all I have for the moment.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, thank you for this time. A couple other items that I just wanted to reiterate. We are not rezoning the land that was brought up. So this is an approved use in an existing facility that has been here for over 20 years. We have a lease with Idaho Power. That land isn't going anywhere. That lease is valid until 2055. I mean, that's a very long time. A lot can happen in 30 years. The neighborhood impact always is, of course, we're very concerned about that and have every intention of being responsible neighbors. It is continuing to serve the same community. It is not a new or incompatible use. It has taken extra steps. We did, again, send out neighborhood meeting notices. We did ask the HOAs. We asked them to email their entire email list if they would like to make sure that we had enough input from everyone. The building, while increasing in size, has been developed to maintain compatible surrounding area. It does not increase existing height, and the massing has been broken down for scale. The application meets the zoning standards and has and all the required public notice processes. We are supportive of everything that the staff has suggested and the conditions of approval, and are willing to make reasonable adjustments. So at this time, I'll stand for questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. This item is now brought to a close and the items in front of us for a decision. I have a quick point of order though to staff. Given that the applicant has been on record as saying that they are withdrawing, making sure I'm clear on that, the request for the variance. Number one, I don't have it on paper, but I do have it on written record or oral record. So I want to make sure that that is okay. Do we need to make a decision since it's been officially withdrawn on the record?
Mr. Chair, because there wasn't an official submission, you should still take care of that today.
Okay, then that answers my second question. All right. Well, with that, the items before the commission, and just as a reminder, we actually now have three different elements of this. So we have the conditional use permit modification. We had the legal nonconformity expansion, the major expansion, and at least officially the variance request for the gravel parking lot.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Well, everybody's considering, maybe I'll tee up the first item, which is to deny the variance request, which is CVA 26-10. Move to deny the variance request.
All right, very good. I've got a motion by Commissioner Schaefer with respect
Second.
to the variance request and a second by Commissioner Moore. Discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. We'll just formalize the discussion here tonight. I mean, the applicant intends to withdraw the application, so it makes all sense to me to simply deny that, take that off the table for discussion as we move forward here with the other two items.
Okay, thank you very much, Commissioner Schaefer. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Moore.
Agreed. For the reasons stated in the staff report, I think denial or withdrawal makes sense. So I'm in agreement with that motion.
Okay, any other further discussion on this particular piece of it? I'd love to figure out if they could do the impervious, because I think I know it's an element that the city feels comfortable with. It's something that we've strategized for water quality. I believe, I'm not officially 100%, but I believe the costs are less than official asphalt, but I don't know if that's something that either of you would be open to in terms of a condition or a modification or anything like that. That's up to you. But if not, then we can proceed unless there's any other discussion.
Mr. Chair, just a point, if someone were interested in adding that, that would probably be better served on the expansion of the legal non-conforming vote.
Fair enough. Okay. Any other discussion then on the variance request? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Danley.
Aye.
Moore.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Teja.
Yes.
Torres.
Yes.
Dome.
Yes.
Stallings.
Yes.
Stefancic.
Yes.
All in favor. Motion carries.
Okay, that leaves two more. The conditional use permit and the legal non-conforming major expansion. While the commission is deliberating, I just wanted to say to everybody, thank you for coming out on this Monday night. Appreciate it. You're testifying, giving us your thoughts. It's definitely appreciated. Thought that was also going to help me buy some time up here, but apparently.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Moore.
I move that we approve CUP 26-03, including the conditional use permit modification and legal nonconformity major expansion, including the following conditions: to work with City of Boise, City of Boise, the Parks Department, Pathways, and ACHD to add crosswalk signage and truncated domes to those pedestrian crossings, and any other safety measures that Parks and Pathways sees fit. And to include pervious surfaces as an option for the parking, pervious surfaces that are acceptable to the City of Boise and their drainage department and Boise Fire's requirements. And I think that's all that I've got at this time, but open to.
Thank you, Commissioner Moore. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I've got a motion by Commissioner Moore with the additional 2 conditions and a second by Commissioner Schaefer. Is there discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Moore.
I think that, for a lot of the testimony that we received talking about being residents of this church and or being residents of this area and also attending this church, it makes a lot of sense to expand it in the location. If 78% of your congregation is in this location, it makes sense to expand it that way. Otherwise, you will be creating more traffic in a larger vicinity. And I think that keeping it in the vicinity of the majority of the population does meet a lot of the city's goals. So I think that in terms of the conditional use permit modification, especially the major expansion, I think that it is appropriate for this location. And I think that makes a lot of sense. On the crosswalks, I think we discussed this, and I think that we discussed this with the land team and the architect team, you know, the willingness to add those crosswalks, to add those kind of safety measures, stop signs, signage, truncated domes, all those things to help improve that. If that doesn't exist right now, that could be part of the reason for some of these issues that are happening, is because these measures don't exist right now, and it's only perpendicular to the street. And then on the pervious surfaces as an option for parking, not required, but just kind of leaving that open as an option. You know, however cost falls in and fire departments requirements and things like that may not make it feasible, but certainly, you know, supportive of that measure as available. So for those reasons and all of those stated in the staff report, I'm in favor of the project.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Moore, for the discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Shaver.
Yeah, since I seconded, I'll follow up. Thanks everybody for testifying this evening, both for and against the application. This is one of those rare ones. I think that like the written comments in our packet were pretty evenly, you know, pro and against 50-50. So it's kind of an interesting one. Good to see great feedback from the community on both sides of the argument. So I appreciate that. Yeah, taking just a big picture look at this, you know, the building addition meets setbacks, setback requirements for the parcel, building heights meet code as well. So it checks all the boxes from a code perspective. ACHD, all the other reviewing agencies express, you know, pretty standard comments. ACHD, you know, standard comments to their review, no requirements needed to the roadways or the road network. Boise Fire is the same, pretty standard comments for building permit, submittal to come. So reviewing agency and the staff report are in support. I also agree with the staff report's summary that adding a second driveway or approach into the site will help with some of the traffic congestion and issues that exist currently. And to Commissioner Moore's point, I think this is a perfect example of a project. We see this a lot where a proposed project identifies maybe existing issues or concerns in neighborhoods, right? And I think that this is an opportunity to correct some of those things that maybe exist already. I don't think that this is going to exacerbate that per se, but it gives us an opportunity to reevaluate and to make some improvements, right, to the driveways and the pedestrian and bike and vehicular network that exists today. In a lot of ways, you know, this application is formalizing a lot of use that's already happening on the site. So I'm comfortable with the legal non-conforming use and the parking lot aspect of this as well. So I believe that takes most of my comments. And again, I do appreciate everybody's input tonight and the testimony on both sides.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Schaefer. Commissioner Seha?
I would like to know if Commissioner Moore and Commissioner Schaefer would entertain adding another potential condition to this motion regarding flagging, consideration of flagging, or the having flaggers or having flags at those intersections where cars are coming out near the greenbelt. I was thinking, someone mentioned that, you know, this area in terms of greenbelt uses is not heavily used, and maybe it isn't. I don't know. I don't live in that area. I don't spend a lot of time in that area, except to say that the one time I did, I was cheering someone on doing the Great Potato Marathon. So yeah, I think we need to, I would ask for consideration of including a condition where they do one or the other. in terms of having flaggers during busy times, or installing those neon orange flags like we have on Hill Road in Lancaster and also the intersection of Catalpa and I'm sorry, Lancaster and Hill, and then Catalpa and Collister.
Thank you, Commissioner Seha. Okay, I've got a motion by Commissioner Moore and Schaefer and a potential request by Commissioner Seha. Is further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Moore.
So I think if I understand Commissioner Seha's request, it would go something like an additional condition to institute a volunteer flagger program, or provide crosswalk flags at the intersections. Okay, like the pedestrian crosswalk flags. Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. I think it's a pretty
We can't have anybody from the chambers. Thank you, though.
because I think that it's requiring a pedestrian crosswalk program. I think outright without any options could be a difficult term to meet, especially if you're relying on a volunteer program. But in the event that flaggers or that program doesn't work, you still do have those flags that you can carry, and that's, you know, a little bit more visible. I'm not opposed to that. I don't know what Commissioner
Yeah.
Schaefer's thoughts are on that.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Schaefer.
Yeah, I my only concern is enforcement, and how does the city legally enforce such a requirement? But perhaps the wording of your condition could be amended to indicate the applicant will provide a traffic control plan with building permit submittal, right? And gives them the opportunity to evaluate all of their options about how they manage their traffic leaving the site and arriving to the site, and also evaluate their best course of action to improve the crosswalks. I feel like that might be a little bit more enforceable from a staff perspective, like just provide a traffic control plan with your building permit submittal.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Moore.
I'm good with that.
Is that, Esther, does that get to your line of thinking?
Commissioner Moore, Commissioner Schaefer, I'm good with that.
Okay.
So then
So we have to do a friendly amendment. That's what we
Sure.
Can I, can I add like
Commissioner
one,
Stefanski, go ahead.
can I add one small piece to tie that together? Can the pathway manager be part of that traffic plan that is developed?
The review?
Yeah.
I don't think that would be a problem. I think that would make sense.
Well, I think the staff would review it and route that appropriately, right, amongst their departments. I don't know if we have to indicate that specifically, but maybe Matt.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I would, if there's any specifics that you'd like, I would specify it just.
Okay. Sure. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Got it all?
Now Commissioner Moore gets to reword.
Do you
her
have
condition.
something, Commissioner Stallings, with regard to this? Okay, hold on a second. Hope you're taking good notes here.
I appreciate, I agree with this discussion that's been going on. The enforceable element to the flags and the crossing flags, especially crossing flags for biker, either way, non-enforceable. I like this, traffic what did we say? Traffic plan?
Traffic control plan, yeah.
Yeah, control plan. The other part that I just wanted to see if we could make a condition for was lighting the second drive access point. It sounds like the main entrance is lit. The second one doesn't sound like it's lit. And seeing with as discussed from both sides of the testimony of hazardous conditions in the winter and frequent use in the summer, it just doesn't sound like a bad safety condition there.
While we're thinking about that, I think that there would have been a letter from the city with regarding to lighting. There usually is. I don't recall
Yeah, it's usually,
that specifically, though.
usually like the last one.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I don't disagree with the suggestion, but I just don't know if it's necessary.
What if we put that in the
because-
traffic control?
Well, we can do
Study
that, but
plan.
building permit review, like city streetlight reviews, building permit review,
Mhm.
right? So, I mean, I think the city and ACHD have to review this again for standards. So I don't know if that's fully necessary. I don't disagree with the idea. I'm just suggesting that, that's a typical review item. right? When they get into design review, building permit review. Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Moore.
I think also there's a minimum light level that's required on site, at least in the level that they can control, which they would need to meet would be that minimum light level on site. So maybe during building permit review, or during, construction documents, they would find that that lighting was inadequate there or something like that too.
Okay, thank you. I could pull that as an additional condition.
Okay. Do you have what you need to modify your motion?
I got it. How modified do we?
I think you should just
like
add,
list all of them.
no, keep the first two, but I
Okay.
think just add the traffic control plan and we talked, your, just to be clear, your motion included the striping of the crosswalk and curb ramps
Yep.
and then
Signage.
the signage,
Yeah.
but it didn't address the flaggers, correct?
No.
Okay, so therefore I would just say the overarching motion amendment would be and include a condition that specifically cites the traffic control plan and circulating it through parks and trail plan stuff.
Gotcha.
Okay,
So, Mr. Chair,
Commissioner
I'd
Moore.
like to amend my motion to include a condition for the applicant to submit a traffic control plan with the building permit that will be routed for review to Parks or Boise Parks and Pathways and ACHD.
Okay. Does that satisfy Commissioner Schaefer? You go with that?
I second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Moore to include the striping the crosswalk, ADA improvements, curb ramps and so forth at both entrances and exits, and then now a traffic control plan that's to be internally circulated to the appropriate channels. And I have a second by Commissioner Schaefer. Further discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Moore.
That also includes the option to include a pervious
Yes,
surface
thank you.
in the
Thank
parking
you.
area.
Good catch. Okay, any other discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Torres.
So I think, the part that I've struggled with this whole item is under the terms and conditions of approval. This will not result, this is on page 58, I believe, will not result in material negative impacts to surrounding properties or that any deviation from those criteria has been mitigated to the maximum extent practicable and the public benefits of the proposed expansion outweigh any material negative impacts of the proposed expansion that cannot be mitigated. I think the original proposal that we received did not meet that criteria. I am fairly comfortable with the amended motion and the conditions that we're requiring here. I think I just want to add, just a couple of thoughts. I appreciate Commissioner Seoff for mentioning the flags, the pedestrian flags when there's no flaggers available. I'm not a big fan of those. I don't think that they definitely, first of all, they're hard if you're on a bike to use. Second of all, they are presupposing that you have to make yourself more visible at an area. And I don't remember what we said during the testimony. The Greenbelt, I don't think has stop signs there. So they have the right of way at that exit. They shouldn't be the ones having to, do something to make themselves more visible. Beyond that, I just want to say, we have applicants who come up here sometimes who have no plan when it comes to pedestrian and vehicle conflicts. We have applicants who come here who are dismissive of them. You were not either of those. So I appreciate you coming here, having thought through these issues somewhat. I appreciate your willingness to be open to changes and suggestions as far as that goes. I want to acknowledge everybody who came out here and testified. You all very much obviously care about your community and this neighborhood. Churches generally are a positive element in any community, and sounds like yours is no exception to that. So while I still have a few qualms about the interaction between the vehicles and the traffic and the dramatic increase in parking, I will support the motion. I would just suggest that if there's any way you can motivate more people who attend your church to come by other means besides vehicles, it would probably be a benefit to you. And it might grow your services even more. And with that, I will shut up and let others speak.
Thank you, Commissioner Torres. Further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Stefancic.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of continue a little bit on Commissioner Torres's thoughts here on the pathway. I'm glad that these amendments were added in because they were on my list of things, especially as I look at our approval criteria for things like this conditional use permit. Number 4 on here, or yeah, number 4 says the site provides a safe, convenient, and efficient network that minimizes conflicts between pedestrians, bicyclists, and other vehicle traffic. And it goes on there. As stated and as was responded, I wasn't fully satisfied with that, but due to some of the amendments that we're adding to, I think it addresses some of that and helps mitigate some of these potential conflicts. I think things may evolve and they may change in time as they always do, and we may need to re-look at that. And I hope that's part of the traffic management plan that we are asking to be added to this, that it does have, some type of review period to look at these. This route and the pathway master plan is an important part of it. There's not a direct or an adjacent pathway along the river. It's set back here because of development or because of certain areas and land use in that area. So this is the way, if you're on the south side of the river, to travel and continue on the green belt. I have used it myself as a cyclist, and it is a really nice area to bike through. And so I understand some of the concerns of the residents of that and trying to keep that there in that way. But I think the applicants and what they have done and their willingness to work with the community and understand that is admirable. And I will be in support of this motion as it stands. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Stefancic. Then last comment. Okay, I'll try to be brief, but dang, traffic is like kind of my jam. Okay, so like Commissioner Torres, and specifically around the conditional use permit and the expansion of the church, what is the use? The use is a church. What does the church do? It has people in it who can attend religious services for all the reasons. But that is an episodic event. It's 3 times on Sunday. We have an ingress and we have an egress. So the use is generating a result. That result is what we have to, in my mind, think about with respect to the mitigation, because we have to satisfy number 2 to Commissioner Torres's point. So will not create any material negative impacts to uses in surrounding area, but it also says that can be basically mitigated. So what have we heard tonight? We've heard that we have roughly 220 vehicles that come in, 220 vehicles that go out, come in, go out, come in, etc. And it's in between these sessions that we have 440 vehicles that are going in and out over the course of basically 20 minutes. So 1, 2, 3, there's a car. 1, 2, 3, there's another car. That's the pace that has to happen in order for this to occur. If I were to look at that number and apply it to an intersection in the city of Boise, that would be like Fairview level turning movements. That's what we're talking about, especially again in those 20-minute periods of time between the services. But it only happens on Sunday, really. The other times of the week, it doesn't really happen. So then the question is, can it be mitigated? I think that I'm with Commissioner Moore, Commissioner Schaefer, and my others, that with a proper traffic control plan, with ensuring that the greenbelt is addressed, because it should not be an effect on them. They're simply trying to walk, ride a bike, walk the dog, right? And this is where it gets muddy for me, is absolutely the flaggers. My daughter is no surprise to anybody who does traffic safety patrol for Liberty Elementary. Dad had nothing to do with that, I promise. I found out through something recently, and I asked about that. What training did you get? I was told flat, point blank, go watch the other kids. That's not training. That's just observation. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what we have to get to, and it has to be done right. And I think one of the folks who testified had mentioned that it should not come at the negative effect of the people using the green belt, right? So there's the challenge, and I don't envy you for that, but I think it's important that the church gets this right and works really hard at it and takes it very seriously, and I think that you will. So I'm a yes, but I think it's a bigger issue than we're even thinking about if we really extrapolate that out over the course of, you know, a rate, 30 minutes, half an hour, an hour, and so forth. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to get out. Any other comments? All right, so to set the deck, we have a motion by Commissioner Moore and a second by Commissioner Schaefer with, I believe it was 3 different conditions. One had to do with the crosswalk treatments and entrance, exit, egress treatments to the site. The other one had to do with the impervious surface treatment of the expanded lot. And the third had to do with traffic control plan, as well as the circulation within city staff. There was one last thing, I'm sorry, and it's not a condition, but I do think that somebody brought up the yurt placement and it being really close to the adjacent condo complex. I would encourage you to rethink that and to put those in a place that's maybe farther away, because if there's activities, teenagers staying up 10, 11 o'clock during summertime, that's the kind of stuff that they're not going to be too friendly about. It's going to rub some people the wrong way eventually. So that was one more thing I wanted to point out. Okay, will the clerk please call the roll?
Danley,
Aye.
Moore,
Yes.
Schaefer, Seha,
Yes.
Torres,
Yes.
Stone,
Yes.
Stallings,
Yes.
Stefancic,
Yes.
all in favor, motion carries.
Okay, thank you all for coming out. Appreciate it. This concludes our hearing.